Konnichiwa, this is Roy at NinjaZilla80, and today I will be reviewing the NECA GMK Giant Monsters All Out Attack Godzilla 2001 figure. And I got some things to say about it, so let's get things started. And now, starting things off with the box, because you know we gotta talk about really cool boxes when we have them. As you can see, this is the Japanese movie poster art for the Godzilla GMK Giant Monsters All Out Attack movie. As you can see, we have the Japanese movie logo, Godzilla Giant Monsters All Out Attack, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. Giant Monsters All Out Attack right there. We have a picture of the GMK Godzilla. We have a Baragon, which is obviously left out of the title. We have Mothra in her larva form. Of course, we have Mothra in her adult form right there. And we have King Ghidorah. Another Japanese, some more Japanese writing I cannot read. Top left corner, we have the Godzilla logo. I think the whole scenery for the poster art looks very beautiful. Love it. The top of the box, we have the Japanese movie title logo again. We have Giant Monsters All Out Attack again. We see some the kind of like a faded picture of the poster, and all in a red silhouette there. We have the NECA logo at the top right corner. We have ages 14 and up, so this is for older collectors, not small children. We have a warning label, choking hazard, letting you know that this is not edible, so don't even think about it. Yeah, because that's not going to go over so well, so don't mistake this for something to eat. It's not a Snickers bar, so don't even go there. The inside of the box, we have a really cool picture of the figure right there on the inside of the door. We have the city backdrop inside of the box. Of course, I've already taken the figure out. The side of the box, we pretty much have the movie poster and the title logo, just like we have on the front, except we have the 65th Godzilla anniversary logo right there. Same thing on the other side. The back of the box, of course, we have the Japanese title logo for the movie right there again. Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah right there yet again. And we have some really cool graphic pictures showing you all the different cool poses you can put this figure in, looking really nice. And of course, we have the plot for the movie. You can pause that and read it if you want to. And now, moving right along, we have the Toho logo, and we have the Godzilla Kaiju logo, and we have Toho.co right there, trademark. And bottom of the box, we have NECA, Real Toys, a serial number, and an uninteresting barcode. So that pretty much concludes it for the box. Now, on to the figure. And now, here we have the NECA Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah GMK Godzilla 2001 figure right here before us in all of its super cool, awesome, menacing glory. As you can see, this is a well-sculpted, well-detailed figure that you can pick up for about $20 back in the day. Unfortunately, NECA no longer has the Godzilla license, so yeah, you're no longer producing any more Godzilla merchandise. But good news is, if you have this figure, good for you, because he is a much appreciated figure, and I really like this one. I actually like this one a little bit more than the SH Monster Arts, because it's just more posable. Well, you can buy a little bit more. But I mean, there's still the Hiya Toys version of this figure that we're waiting on, so we're yet to get that. But overall, really like this figure. I think it's good. Um, is it the best figure ever? Not exactly, but is it good for what it is? Yes, it is. I like the detail. I like how he has like these the coral reef like dorsal spines that the GMK Godzilla has. They're more of like a sort of like a pearl, like a pearlescent like bone white colorization. Looks really nice. They are rubbery, so they're not like solid like the SH Monster. It's dorsal spines, so you can actually, you know, rub your fingers on them and they won't hurt you or they won't crack. But yeah, you do want to be careful you don't rip them. Um, the face sculpt looks really good. Let's bring them up. You can see how, let me turn my light on. You can see how he has those soulless white eyes that the GMK Godzilla has, looking very evil. Like they say, he's made up of the souls of the dead from, I believe, like people like soldiers that died in World War II, I believe. I gotta rewatch the movie to really know all the details, but I know like they say he's sort of supposed to be made up of like that. Well, this one in particular is supposed to be made up of like the souls of the dead. So this is like an evil Godzilla. This is not like a neutral Godzilla, or this is not like the Showa or like Heisei Godzilla. This one's like purely evil, sort of like, I would say sort of like Shin Godzilla, but not like way before Shin Godzilla. But anyway, yeah, I will now be going over this figure with articulation, starting with the upper body portion of the figure, then the lower body portion of the figure, and then getting more in depth with the rest of the figure. So let's get started. Okay, now starting things off with the upper body portion of the figure, starting with the head. The head can move down like so. We can move up like so. We can look right, and we can look left. Although the neck joint is a bit stiff, it's still doable. And we could turn the head all the way around independently from the neck, and we can turn the neck all the way around a full 360 as well. The arms, well, the shoulders are on ball joints, so we can rotate them all the way around a full 360, like so, with relative ease. We can bring them out about that far. We can bring them down about that much. We have a hinge in that elbow, so we can move it forward and back, like so. Same is true with the other side, so we can bring that elbow down and bring it back, and turn it so we can get a better view. So, yep, we do have a hinge in that elbow. We also have, well, not exactly elbow swivels, so I was wrong, but we do have wrist swivels, so there is that, so we can swivel those wrists all the way around a full 360, like so. We do, okay, and we do have a swivel hinge in the hands as well, so we can swivel those hands, and we can move those hands forward and back on the hinge for that claw swiping action, as you are seeing. And we do have a hinge in the fingers, like so, and a really sharp looking paint apps on those fingernails there on his claws, looking really fearsome. Love it. Jaw articulation, before I forget, the jaw is on a hinge. Really nice detailing on those sort of like weathered bone white teeth in there. The jaw is on a hinge, so we can open that jaw like so. We can get a look at those finer details inside the mouth. Let me turn my light on so we can see. Oh boy. We do have a tongue in there. We can see the sides of his gums as well. Just really nice detail on these figures overall. Teeth looking really sharp. And he is compatible with the heat ray breath effect part from the supercharged version, and I will demonstrate that later in this video. But for now, that concludes. Well, one more thing, we do have a hip swivel. We do have somewhat of an ab crush, but it's tight. So yeah, that pretty much concludes it for the upper body portion of the figure. So now we will be moving right along down to the lower body portion of the figure, you know, the hips and the legs and the knees and that good stuff. So let's get to it. And now moving right along down to the lower body portion of the figure. As you can see, the legs and the lower body portion of the figure is well sculpted. You can see all the finer details on his belly and all the scales and everything going throughout his body, looking really nice. The hips, of course, are on ball joints. You can't really spread them out that much. You can always spread them out about that much. This was only like a $20 figure, so don't expect a whole lot of articulation out of it like the SH Monster Arts or Hiya Toys, but these are still good for what they are. You can rotate the hips a full 360 though, if you choose to, like so. Yep. And you can do both ways. You can split them out like that if you want to by rotating them both forward, but that's kind of silly. We do have a single joint hinge in the knee, so we can bend the knee about that far back and this far forward. Same is true with the other leg. And oh boy, it is stiff on mine. And I believe you do have a swivel at the knee, but it's like really tight, so I'm not even going to bother with that. We do have some ankle rocker movement, so we can move those feet forward and back like so, and we can swivel them a full 360. And these claws on his feet, on his toes, looking really nice, really sharp, nice weathered bone white colorization, looking really good. Now moving right along to the tail. The tail is comprised of 1, 2, 3 articulation segments, not very much, so we can pose the tail a little bit before the bendy wire tip pops off. So I'm not gonna bend mine because I don't want to rip it, but anyway, yeah, putting its tail back on, sorry about that. But anyway, we do have some articulation in that tail area before it pops off again, so but I'm not taking any points off of that because this is a NECA figure. But yeah, although it is a bit stiff and I think it could be a little bit better, but I do like this one overall. It's just, yeah, as you can see, posing that tail is kind of a bit of a hassle, but it's still doable. So kind of try to put him in a swimming pose if I can. So move those arms back, and yeah, that's about the best we can do there for a swimming pose. Like when he was first spotted in the water at the beginning of the movie. Let's put him back upright. Okay, so that pretty much concludes it for the lower body portion of the figure. So let's get more in depth with the figure and then get into our final verdict, shall we? And now, getting more in depth with the figure, getting a quick look at how the figure looks like in full view. Yet again, really nice. Really like the overall design of this figure. Although, like I said, I feel like the tail articulation is a bit stiff, as well as the waist articulation. But it's overall still a good figure, and I still highly enjoy it. And this one is also compatible with the heat ray breath effect part from the supercharged heat ray version of this figure, which I do have, which I will be reviewing soon after I do my review for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection, or the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection Lord Draken figure. Although those videos are not gaining very much traction on my channel, but I'm still going to upload them nonetheless, so I'm not going to give up on diversifying my content. But anyway, how this works is you open up his mouth like so, and then you take this piece right here, and you insert it into the little socket. And am I doing this right? This one should have it. Yes, he does. You insert it into the little plug in the back of his mouth, and then boom, there you have it. The GMK Godzilla, or Godzilla 2001, firing off his heat ray breath effect part. Which this is actually they actually NECA actually gave you the same heat ray breath effect part with the with their NECA 1964 Godzilla, which I also have, which is also compatible with this one. So if you want to have the GMK firing off a white heat ray, or your 1964 firing off a blue heat ray, you can do that. But yeah, I overall think this is a cool figure, and yeah, that's pretty much concludes it for my review. And now I will be getting into my final verdict and giving this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability. So let's get to it. And now for my final verdict on the NECA Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All Out Attack GMK Godzilla 2001 figure here. If I have to get this one a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability, I have to give him a drum roll, please. A very well-deserved, fair and square 4.5 stars. Why? I feel like this figure is overall good. The detail is overall good for what it is for a $20 figure. The dorsal spines look and feel nice. The articulation is good, and yeah, design and the paint apps is overall good. He's more kind of like this brownish charcoal gray color, like GMK Godzilla is. But I know the question is, why am I taking points off? Technically, reason why I feel the tail is a bit stiffer than what it should be, and this pops off very easily if you try to move it. So I do feel like there's some areas where this figure could have been better, especially if NECA would have chose to use fully segmented tails instead of bendy wires, but they didn't do that to like their later figures. But I mean, I still think this is an overall highly recommended good figure, and it still gets a pass, except for the tail being a bit stiff and maybe a little stiffness in the neck joints. But other than that, I think this figure, it holds up well, and it's a solid, highly recommended figure. It's a much appreciated figure in my collection. Just like it's the heat ray version of this figure, or the supercharged version, whatever you want to call it. I think this was a overall good value for the price. And if NECA was still making Godzilla figures, I think I would still collect them over SH Monster Arts. But I mean, we have Hiya Toys filling that gap now, so yeah. Hiya Toys' version of this figure is bound to be leaps and bounds better anyway. So hopefully it is, and it's not going to pop apart. So that's what I'm hoping for. And we won't have overly tight joints like the SH Monster Arts version either. So that's what I'm hoping for. I am very hopeful for better things out of Hiya Toys, because that's one of the reasons why I'm not collecting SH Monster Arts anymore. Is because, like I said, I just feel like they've just been cutting way too many corners with quality control for the prices we have been paying. It's ridiculous. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps out this channel. And as always, love you all. Stay safe. God bless. Take care. And peace out.